Welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video, we are going to discuss the Friedman-Phelps model of the Phillips curve. Before starting, let me remind you that please like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos. And also, you are welcome to my Telegram group and Telegram channel. I'll be providing all the links of all the previous videos which deal with the topic of the Phillips curve in the description box, so that you can go through the video and you'll be able to understand what the original Phillips curve is all about and how Friedman and Phelps have contributed to the idea of Phillips curve if you watch this video. And with that, let's go to the video of Friedman-Phelps model. With the existence of stagflation, new economic models appeared, especially during 1970s and all. And what Milton Friedman and Phelps sought to explain the phenomena of stagflation in terms of expectation, inflationary expectations. And also, we have to understand that changes in inflationary expectation causes this would cause shifts in the Phillips curve. We could see that the original Phillips curve, the one in the short run, would have this has not taken into consideration the expectation, the role of expectations. As a result, what we could have in the original Phillips curve is only the present rate of inflation, not the expected rate of inflation. So when you come back to the case of Friedman-Phelps model, the Phillips curve is wrongly specified mainly because it is real wage, not the money wage, that responds to the excess labor demand. But in the case of the original Phillips curve, it is the other way around. So they have Friedman and Phelps have criticized the original Phillips curve by telling this. The trade-off between the money wage inflation and the unemployment, which we could see in the case of original Phillips curve, this can exist only temporarily so long as the buyers and sellers of the labor are full. That means that so long as they both confuse money wages with the real wages and they do not correctly anticipate the rate of inflation in the economy. Or we can say that changes in the money wage rate can offset the rate of unemployment only in the short run, and this is mainly because it is only in the short run that employers and employees confuse money wage with real wage and thus wrongly interpret the inflation rate in the economy. For example, you could see that as a result of an expansionary monetary policy, an economy would experience price and wage inflation. And this is so because increase in money wages would be incorrectly interpreted by the producers as a reduction in the real wages and by laborers as an increase in the real wages. The short-run effect will be therefore an increase in both employment and rate of inflation in the economy, and this appears that Phillips curve prediction is true. That is, inflation has to make a reduction in unemployment, but this is a temporary phase only. Gradually, the producers and laborers will correctly learn about the high rate of inflation that's prevailing in the economy, and they will both incorporate this current expectation into new labor contracts, and unemployment rate will return to the old natural level. Thus, there is in the long run, you could see that there exists no trade-off between unemployment and inflation. Here WT is found to be a function of UT plus alpha PTE. Here WT is the current wage rate of inflation or wage inflation. PT is the expected, it is the current price inflation. UT is the current rate of unemployment. Okay, and PT is the expected inflation rate. And in this equation, if you go to the equation 1, you will see that this is known as the equation of the expectation augmented Phillips curve. This shows the rate of change in money wages equal to some function of the current rate of unemployment prevailing in the economy plus some proportion of the expected change in the price inflation. And the original Phillips curve analysis assumes the value of alpha is 0, implying no allowance for expected inflation, while the Friedman-Phelps model assumes its value as 1, implying a full allowance for expected inflation. if you look into the case of equation 2, that is PT is equal to WT, it says that productivity is considered to be 0 and the rate of price inflation PT would be equal to the rate of wage inflation WT, and the equation PT is equal to WT minus 60 becomes PT is equal to WT, and the third equation PTE is equal to PT minus 1. That means that the expected price expected rate of price inflation in period T is equal to the actual rate of inflation which has occurred in period T minus 1. And assuming that the rate of price inflation is equal to the rate of wage inflation and neither producers nor laborers suffer from money illusion, both currently anticipate inflation, the Friedman-Phillips model implies two things. First of all, the anticipated changes in the price level will be fully incorporated into money wage contract, and secondly, as a consequence, the rate of change in money wages will be a function of both the unemployment rate in the economy and the anticipated rate of inflation or prices. If you look at the figure given here, you could understand that Friedman-Phelps model, in this model, it distinguishes between the short run and long run effects of unanticipated inflation. It's assumed that the natural long run level of unemployment is indicated as UN. The 5% Phillips curve shows that the actual inflation unemployment when the employers and employers anticipate an annual rate of inflation of 5%. Along the curve, a temporary trade-off between the inflation and unemployment would be existing, and this is mainly because the actual rate of inflation differs from the anticipated rate, and the employers and employers will be fooled. The economy initially is at point A, where the employees and employers currently anticipate inflation of 5%. And suppose that unemployment rate is considered very high and inflation rate is 10% annum is generated. This is through a combination of monetary and fiscal policies. As a result, we know that the new situation, it is something that is not expected or it is unanticipated, both by employers as well as laborers, and as a result, the economy will move from point A to point B and the unemployment would fall to U1. It appears that a 5% point increase in inflation has been traded off for the decrease in unemployment rate from U1 to U1. That means that it was just to reduce the rate of unemployment that inflation was increased. And eventually, both employers and employers will realize that the actual inflation rate is 10%, not 5%. And in this scenario, new labor contracts will take into form. That means that it would take into consideration or to take into account the unemployment rate, and the existing inflation rate, and the economy moves to a point B, from B to C. At C, you could see that 10% inflation would be there, and at this point the actual rate of inflation is 10%, that is currently anticipated by the people, and now the unemployment is, in order to be reduced, there needs a still higher unanticipated rate of inflation. Point A and C are the points on the long run Phillips curve, and long run Phillips curve can be derived by finding the unemployment rate and inflation when it is corrected. Okay, unemployment rate when you correct for inflation, or correct for inflation in the sense that if you could correctly anticipate the rate of inflation given the unemployment rate, you could come to the long run Phillips curve. This long run Phillips curve is found to be a vertical curve, and its position is determined by the natural rate of unemployment. And in the long run, there is no trade-off between the inflation and unemployment. As a result, Phillips-Friedman model could explain the existence of a short-run Phillips curve and also a long-run Phillips curve based on a set of shifting unstable Phillips curves. The policy implication of this model is that monetary policy, whether it is monetary policy or fiscal policy, this can affect the employment as well as output in the short run, mainly because these policies can fool the people. But in the long run, these policies will become ineffective in fooling the people. This is mainly because in the long run, employers will fully and correctly, they could anticipate the prevailing inflation rate, and as a result, unemployment will return to its natural rate. Now, what is natural rate of unemployment? We have been continuously talking about the natural rate of inflation. Let's understand the natural rate of inflation in the detailed form. Friedman and Phelps model is based on the notion of natural rate of unemployment, and it is the rate of unemployment to which the economy returns in the long run after stabilization policies are correctly anticipated by the people. The natural rate of unemployment consists of two kinds of unemployment. Firstly, frictional unemployment, or the type of unemployment which is experienced with the people who are between steady jobs. That means that when you move from one job to another, there exists a phase between these two jobs, which means that you are unemployed in between these two jobs. That type of unemployment is known as the frictional unemployment. Then secondly, unemployment due to rigidities in the economic system and its interferences with the labor market mobility or wage rate changes. There exists various rigidities in the labor market, especially due to the activities of the union, which would restrict the supply of labor. Then licensing arrangement granted by the regulatory arrangement would be causing certain changes, and minimum wage laws, and also you could see that the welfare system that reduces the incentive to work. As a result of the change, you could experience certain rigidities in the labor market. According to Friedman, stabilizing policy can affect the frictional unemployment, and this would temporarily fool the buyers as well as sellers. Phillips-Kerr trade-off simply represents a temporary change in the frictional unemployment. Some alternative explanation is that this can be explained with the help of aggregate demand and aggregate supply curves for labor. In the figure, in the panel A, you could see that aggregate demand and aggregate supply of labor are given, especially with respect to the classical model is given here, and NO is a full employment point, and also this implies a natural rate of unemployment. So employment. Real wages given by W0, and in the panel B you could see these figures have been multiplied by the initial price level P0, and thus at the initial equilibrium employment is M0 and the nominal wage is W0. Now just assume that the aggregate demand is increased to D1, as a result of which price increases to P1, and D1 P1 is a new demand curve, and the increased demand for labor would induce a rise in the nominal wages from W0 to W1, and employment would be increased from N0 to N1. At this stage, workers will not realize that the price have risen. As a result, the increase in the labor supply by moving upward along the S0 P0 curve. But in the long run, this increase in prices will be fully reflected in the supply curve, and the effect of the shift would be this will lead the supply curve to shift, and the effect of the shift would be this will put more pressure on the nominal wages, causing these wages to rise. The employment comes back to the initial level N0, and thus the upward shift in the demand curve is completely offset by the equal upward shift in the supply curve. And the end result is that the prices and nominal wages would increase, but the real wage and the level of unemployment employment would become unchanged. Coming to the criticisms of the model, you could see that the persistence of unemployment is considered to be one of the criticisms. So Friedman and Phelps model fails to provide the proper explanation for the persistence of unemployment, but unfortunately you could see that the delay is not generated. So there is some kind of delay. Okay, you could see that according to this model, unemployment persistence is caused by delays in the flow of information, and this delay is not generated endogenously. It is something determined from not from within, but it is determined exogenously or from outside the model, and thus it is difficult to test how much of the observed variance of unemployment could be attributed to inflationary or deflationary surprises. Secondly, we could see that there is some degree of adjustment to inflation. Friedman-Phelps model depends upon specific assumption regarding the degree of adjustment of expected inflation to actual inflation. Firstly, we could see that the alpha, this in the model can take the value of unity, which implies that expected inflation could be fully incorporated into the current wage changes. But you have to understand whether we could predict it or not. And secondly, if on the other extreme it takes the value 0, then the Phillips original formulation is correct, which means that there is only one negatively sloping Phillips curve regardless of the price expectations. In between these two extreme points, you could see that that means that when alpha is between 0 and 1, there would be some kind of possibility there is a partial but not complete compensation for anticipated inflation. And this case implies that there is a long run Phillips curve, although it is more steadily sloped than the short run Phillips curve. It is not vertical. Friedman-Phelps model, with this prediction, there is no inflation and unemployment trade-off in the long run. This is based on the assumption that alpha is equal to 1, and this would ignore the other possibilities, whether when like alpha is equal to 0 and alpha is between 0 and 1. And what is the actual value of alpha in the actual work is an empirical question. We have to go for empirical analysis in order to find it, and also this could change from time to time. That we know that the economy would move in the, like there would be business cycles in the economy, there would be down phases, up phases in the economic cyclical movement. So as a result, we cannot predict that this would happen, that alpha would be 0, alpha would be 1, or alpha would be between 0 and 1 forever. So there can be changes in between. Majority of the research studies have shown that the fall in the range between 0.3 to 0.8 imply an existence of negatively sloping long run Phillips curve, and these kinds of findings suggest that while people are rational, they do adjust to inflation, and these people they are subject to some degree of money illusion, and they do not therefore fully adjust to inflation. So you can see that formation of expectation is also criticized. Friedman-Phelps model assumes that expectation is generated according to adaptive expectation mechanism, which implies that the current expectations are equal to the weighted expectation. This assumption has been challenged by recent development of the concept of rational expectation hypothesis, and we have to understand what rational expectation hypothesis is with respect to Friedman-Phelps model. And in the Friedman-Phelps model, it is maintained that the monetary policy can affect the real variables like employment, output, etc. Especially, and this would happen especially in the short run. This is mainly because people can be fooled in the short run and they cannot be fooled in the long run. And according to rational expectation hypothesis, the stabilization policies cannot be systematically used to fool the people. For example, monetary policy cannot lead the people to wrongly estimate the rate of inflation. Some will underestimate, whereas in the case of others, these people will be overestimating. This implies that stabilization policy cannot systematically influence the employment, output, or output even in the short run. Vague concept of natural rate of inflation is another point based on which the idea is criticized. The concept of natural rate of inflation, on which the Friedman-Phelps model is based, it has been criticized. Now there have been many economists who have given their own interpretation. If you look at the case of Tobin, he has suggested a compromise between the negatively sloping Phillips curve and the vertical Phillips curve, and this is given in the figure. His modified Phillips curve, it is neither vertical nor downward sloping. The vertical portion, it's a mix of both. The vertical portion is actually this could be seen if you look at the point U0, and here it indicates there is no trade-off between inflation and unemployment, and negatively sloping portion beyond U0. This indicates there exists a trade-off. It means that at higher levels of unemployment, increasing inflation will reduce unemployment. This may be due to the downward sticky nature of wages, and in this case, in this scenario, the workers would be resisting a decline in the wages. At a very low levels of unemployment, employment may not be provided because of imperfections in the market. Now, coming to conclusion, we could see that the phenomena of stagflation has been explained in terms of inflationary expectations, and in other words, change in inflationary expectations would cause shift in the Phillips curve. The problem of stagflation cannot be solved by adopting a stabilization policy, and demand management policy should be aimed at achieving a stable and lower rate of inflation, and not at reducing unemployment rate. Supply side policies such as changes in the tax structure to improve incentives to work and return to investment may be more successful in increasing the